Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community, because this is the greatest job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality, if you work hard, you can create an amazing life in sales. And today's guest, no stranger to that journey. Super excited to hear her story. It's our friend Jade Scherr. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
We are super stoked. So I'd like to dive right in. You've been in sales long enough. I need to hear your craziest sales story.
I don't even know if it classifies as crazy, but whenever I tell anyone lately, they're like, what? So, my new sales tactic is that I use less words. So, like 6 words or less. And people tell me their life story. And it's my favorite thing because just like messaging people and it's like, are we done? Is this over? And you get so much more out of them than trying to be pushy. And so, that plus a combo of my favorite way to close sales is to send them fresh cookies. And it's like the little homemade things that I feel like add up that people take for granted. And like, yes, sales, there's a grind, but it's also the thoughtful pieces. And so, yes, there's flashy things that you can do, but maybe it's the North Dakota girl in me, but it's like, let's show that we care and just get straight to the point. People are busy. Let's get to the pain of what they're having.
And I think that's one of the things that so many professionals do is they overcomplicate the process. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of folks out there that want to tell you they have the proprietary methods and this, that, whatever. And don't get I train sales professionals all day long, so I get it. I'm part of that crew. However, it always comes back to the basics of, are you building a relationship? Is
Yeah.
there a level of likability? So where did you learn that from? Is that something that you figured out along the way, or did you have to like have a moment?
I think it's kind of the marketer in me and like what's that memorable brand experience. And I think everyone wants to feel valued. And so it just kind of feels like common sense being brought up that way too, of like, let's value people and people want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. And for me, it's like, how do you simplify sales? Because I didn't start a marketing agency because I wanted to do sales, but over time, that's grown to be my favorite part because it's not about the sale. It's about helping people grow and the passion and getting to know them. And when you pivot that narrative to like, I'm here to solve your problem, not to take your money, that's where the magic happens.
I think that's hilarious because I came from the world of sales and had to learn marketing. So like I was a hustler, had that, was like, all right, cool, put me on the phone, send me wherever. I'm gonna go do what I got to do. And as I got more involved in the development, it's like, hey, if I could just get my own leads, I can write my own paycheck.
Yeah.
I can just pretty much do what I want to do when I want to do it, so long as I'm doing the work every single day. That's where Call the Damn Leads was born originally, was from marketing and people not wanting to do that one thing. So for you, as you're building the relationship, you run a marketing company. Do you find that your lead generation processes are more so like you pay run ads and get people that way? Do you do more referral based? What's your marketing approach for your own business?
Yeah, so far we've grown really heavily through referral base. I joke that like I was the one business during COVID that wanted to slow down because I was just like slammed and I was like, how do I even keep up? And each year's kind of been that a little bit. So this year we're focusing on getting more intentional and kind of walking the walk of what we do with our clients. But building that nurture funnel and lead scoring and other pieces there. But right now we've been fortunate of like we've focused on building our brand and really caring about people, and that makes it so that like we're working with the businesses that we like, we fire the ones that we don't align with, and growing our business that way.
Have you had any specific clients where something wild has happened and you're like, I can't even believe that worked?
Oh gosh. I feel like that's kind of everyone in marketing. Like you make your educated guesses, but it's kind of like how doctors practice medicine. They call it practicing for a reason because like what works in one instance might not work in another. One of my favorite, like if we're talking marketing and sales together, is we're working with a local construction company and driving all these leads to them because like that part was easy for us. And they're like, our sales aren't going up, our sales aren't going up, and backed up. And it was like, well, why? And I feel like a lot of the times when I talk about marketing or sales, it's like for me, it's not these big beefy topics. It's the simple, like, are you asking questions and getting to that? And through that process, we were able to see that while our contact said he was translating everything to the sales team, he was gatekeeping so much. And we found out that the sales team shouldn't really be the sales team because they like doing the work, doing the construction job, not selling it. So their follow through was terrible. So we added some tiny, tiny, simple animations and then did a fun branded local contest with gingerbread giveaway. And their sales have gone skyrocket now because we automated the parts that their salespeople weren't in. And I think in anything, it's like there are so many like sexy, fun things you can do, but there's also so many practical ones. And if people start with the quick wins, they're going to get that return on investment so that then you can lean into that crazy stuff after.
One of the quotes my mentor gave me early on was the methods are many, principles are few. Methods may vary, but principles never do. And it's like there's a million ways to make $1 million, but anyone who's ever done it will tell you the principles are I did this, I did this, I did this, and I did it every day until I couldn't stand up anymore, and then I did it again the next day. And then I did it
Oh,
again the next day.
and I love that you said the everyday thing because I think that's something that a lot of people miss is they focus on like how can I get this big fish, but not what are the daily things that you can do that'll make that inevitably happen. And so stepping back to what are those daily principles, like you said, is huge.
I have really been making the I love this analogy because it's been big, and so it's obviously for a reason. There's a message here, I think. But it's like the guys that go to the gym and you see that they can lift 400-pound deadlifts and squat 315 no problem, and they're just racking off the bench presses. But if you ask them to grab a 15-pound dumbbell and just raise it up and down laterally for like 100 times, they're not going to want to do it because no one wants to do the slow, tedious, boring
Mhm.
stuff. It's not sexy, it's not fun, and it is painful a lot of the time because it doesn't generate immediate results. And a lot of the time the results aren't like growing giant muscles because you don't need that capacity, but it's strength. That's why everybody in the military does push-ups and sit-ups because it's the consistency that builds the strength for the long term. So you had mentioned, as we were starting our call, for you and your company strategically, you prefer to create the long-term relationship with your clients. How does that translate to the conversation from a sales perspective? Because some people for marketing, they're like, well, I don't know if I want to commit to the long term. I need to see results because a lot of people have been burned. So how do you approach that and handle that objection during the sales conversation?
Yeah, I think during the sales conversation, my goal is always to voice concerns before they do. So I want to be the first one to address that. And I think that just shows good intent too, and focus on being a genuine human in that regard. But so far for us, I think that's gone through of like, I tell everyone I'm not going to lock you into a contract because I'm confident we're going to earn your work and we're going to keep it. And then that makes it where then we get that long-term seat at the table and prove it right away. You have to do the hard work and show them. But then once you're in, you learn so much in the long run versus if you're churning and burning vendors and agencies and employees because they never truly get to know you. And I think one of the simplest things from how sales can do better is bringing marketing to the table too. And I think that both sides feel bad of like, I don't want to take their time or like they don't get it, but they like marketing should be making sales look good and marketing budgets wouldn't get cut if they were actually supporting sales. Of like they should go hand in hand. And I would cut a marketing budget too if it wasn't getting sales cuz why the hell would you do it then? Like what's the point? Align them.
It's so interesting the egos that start to happen, and like in small businesses it's not as bad, but even in, like you were mentioning, a contractor business, they may have 5 or 6 guys on staff and there's somebody that's like, oh, I'm going to take the leads and close them, and he thinks he's the top dog, but there's somebody over there that's a quiet killer that if you just let him loose he'd be slamming the deals
Mhm.
and it would be great. But there's always that dynamic inside. As you've built your team, how do you handle the dynamic of every lead is a great lead? Here's the process that we're going to follow for it.
Ooh, that's a good question. I think on the like side of every great is a great every lead is a great lead. Stepping back to like, what is the root challenge? Because I think a lot of leads, when they reach out to us, they don't know what they fully need. And so even just yesterday, we got a cry for help from a hospital and they were like, please. And then talking to them, it's like what they initially asked for wasn't what they needed. And I think too often people can be quick to disqualify leads. And we've done that too, where it was like, oh, shoot, if we would have just taken the time to help get to the root of like the pain that they're feeling. Because just like for me, our hot tub broke, and if I'm trying to diagnose what's wrong with it, I'm so freaking wrong. I was pulling out parts last night. I was doing my best. I have no clue. Same thing here. Like they're trying to diagnose what's wrong with their marketing, and that's my job in sales to do that for them. And if you're too quick to count them out for that, you can be losing a great long-term partner and sale that then can lead to more sales for you.
I love that answer, and I have something I call it, funny enough, the calls framework. Because I have grown up from selling insurance to furniture and people walking in and out of the store, and so every lead is an opportunity to me. The first thing that you have to do is just confirm the reason you're having that conversation, like why are you here? What's going on? And then the second part is important to this, the ask specific questions. If
Yes.
you don't have that list of questions that you're using to pre-qualify the business and really make sure, hey, this is a good fit for our products and services, and also we're a good fit to work with them, because not all business is good business. And I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of small businesses, especially marketing companies, God love you, crazy savages, you. They race to the bottom like, hey, I'm going to go and just find as many clients as I can, and I'm going to do all this free work, and it's just a
Yeah, that's
hamster
right.
wheel. How when you got started, how did you avoid that trap of like racing to the bottom, or even more importantly, how did you decide who you were going to do marketing for so that you knew you were having the right conversation with the right people?
Yeah, right away it was a lot of like testing working with different people. And for me, like I'm the type of person I've loved every job I've ever had. So it's like I like working with different businesses, but once you saw that you add more value here versus here, then it was like, well, let's not focus on this then. So to me, I think we did a lot of trial and error, but it was having reflection points to be like, okay, we're either not doing like as valuable work for this type of work as we are over here, or like budgets under this don't align. And so I think it was 2022 we ended up firing half of our clients. And it was like something where it just like I have goosebumps right now thinking of it again because it felt so bold. But at the time it was like we were spreading ourselves too thin across different clients, and we knew that like to get to the level that we wanted to be, we couldn't have the same level of clients that we started with. And so there were hard conversations, but I think it's having that intentional point of like, what do you want to be? And I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark too, is just knowing where they're going, which is such like a simple piece. And I think when you're starting off, you might not know exactly what that looks like, because I didn't. I was like, I want to help businesses, but I'm flexible to what that looks like because I love all the areas of it. And then as we've grown our team and have solidified that value, that's changed. But going back to also what you said a little bit ago about like, how do you help them understand what they need through your calls framework? Another piece for me is helping just give them further options than what they think. So we were recapping with our goals, and three of our biggest clients last year came to us with smaller budgets. One of them came to us with 20,000, and we were like, okay, well, what if we did this for 100,000? And they were like, we're in. And another came to us for something simple of just a one-time consult. That was a $450,000 project. So digging in and getting beyond just what they're asking for, I think is something that a lot of marketing agencies fail at, specifically because they just focus on how do we get them in instead of how do we solve their problem.
Mm, mm, mm. Preach. That's gonna make a great clip, I tell you what. And that's the thing, is it's asking the right questions. People will tell you what they're wanting, and everyone's guilty of this, myself included, but sometimes you just got to throw out the crazy number.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those reminders for myself that every now and then when I'm thinking like, man, maybe I'll do this or maybe I'll do that. It's like, no, just go back out there and throw the crazy numbers, and the right people will show up. There's so much alignment in asking those questions and knowing, are we on the right track? Is this going to be a good fit? And can we solve your problem? Because if we can solve your problem, then why wouldn't we go forward with this?
Yes. And then the step after that is giving them that clear vision of how you solve it. Because a lot of people either don't focus on how they solve the problem or they skip right to like this dreamy solution that doesn't actually fit the problem. But it's like, let's not have the disconnect there. Let's show exactly what that vision is. Otherwise, why would I agree to a higher budget? Why would I want to spend more money if I don't know what I'm spending it on?
That's so perfect because the second part of the calls framework is confirm the reason you're speaking, ask the questions, listen with intention, because if you're not listening to people, then it doesn't do you any good. And that's where a lot of people fail because they're just running through the script of like, all right, what's next? What's next? What's next? But when you listen, then you get a chance to lay out the plan for success. And if you can make it easy for them to understand and then they're already halfway on board, the last part is just secure the bag. Get them to sign on the line. That's it. Get that paycheck and keep closing deals and moving forward. And then really just serving the people, doing a great job because it doesn't matter how great you are at sales. We've all met some people that sold a whole lot of stuff too fast, absolutely crashed and burned because they couldn't serve on the back end. Their reputation goes terrible. It's just not a good look. And to avoid that, I want to know, Jade, how you went about having that hard conversation with those clients to say, you know what, we appreciate you. We don't want to take your money anymore. Here's what we recommend.
Yeah. For me, it was just treating it like the human situation and not trying to make it anything that it's not. A lot of them were ones that I had known for a while and had formed relationships with. And like one of them held my baby that was 2 days old after, like, he called right after I had a C-section and he's like, I need your help. I don't care what it takes. And I was like, then like, I need a ride and I have a baby with me. And he like, so we had bonded and had great relationships, but I think that also made it where like I was comfortable being honest with him of like, you like the level of how we're growing doesn't align with what you need. And we always try and step back and look at that with any partnership that we have. And that was a time where that happened with a lot of clients. But even now, it's like there gets to a point of growth where it's like sometimes it doesn't always make sense for an agency to have that level of stuff. And we'll give them a recommendation of hire someone in house, do this because we want what's best for them. And I think that's why we don't have as much client turnover as a lot of other agencies. And that's why we've been able to grow is just being honest and saying the things that a lot of people don't want to say. And I think so many people are afraid of conflict. And it's like, just say it how it is. Say it how you want someone to say it to you. It's not that complicated.
You know, it doesn't have to be. We
No.
make it that way a lot, but it doesn't have to be.
Well, and it
And
feels personal because it is. But if you tell them that too, it's like people just want human.
and that is a part of sales that I really appreciate why I still do the show the way I do because there's so many people out there that are like, "Oh, the AI is taking over and voice robots and these things." And I chuckled to myself because like even this morning as of recording this, Chat GPT was down for like 2 hours.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And the open AI in the back end was all messed up. And all I could think was like, how many businesses are having just a meltdown right now because these
Mm-hmm.
automations that they rely upon after all these people they fired are just like they're not working correctly all of a sudden. And there's value to the human connection. There's value to that relationship still. And picking up the phone, calling the damn leads, having a good old fashioned conversation, it still means a lot to the people who care about genuine growth and relationships. And so, Jade, I know we could probably spend the whole day shooting the shit about these conversations and marketing and sales
Oh,
and have
yeah.
fun. I want to know how can I come learn more about your content and how can the listeners come and check out more about what you do for big businesses?
Yeah, definitely. First, follow me on LinkedIn. That's my baby. I'm also on Instagram if you're an Instagrammer, but otherwise, DM me too on alignment if you want a cheat sheet on how to align marketing and sales. I love talking all the geeky things on that, but also simplifying it down because I think too often everyone makes things overcomplicated. So I like to just take the complex and simple it down, and LinkedIn is my place to do that.
I love it. I've been making a much bigger push on LinkedIn this year. Strategically, when I started the company, people told me it wasn't professional and that no one in the corporate world would ever hire call the damn leads. But funny enough, people love it. And I'm making a big push on LinkedIn this year because I
Yeah.
think the newsletters and the content and the things that are available over there are incredible. So I'll be sure to follow you, keep you checked out. If you guys like the show, share it, tell someone about it, let them know this is the place to be to get all the fun sales knowledge. Now, Jade, before you get out of here, I got one last question. We always have new people coming into sales because, I mean, there's endless opportunity. So if they're new and maybe by stroke of luck, this is the first podcast that they listen to on how to get better in sales and marketing, what one piece of advice would you give them to take action on today?
I would say to be the salesperson that you want in the world. Who do you want? Do you want someone that dismisses you? No. Do you want someone that treats you like you matter? Yes. Do you want someone that genuinely cares about fixing whatever you're dealing with? Yes. Be that. And like we talked about before, it's that daily drive, the daily efforts. So if you're trying to do sales once a week or once a month, you are going to fall flat on your face and not sustain in it because you're not truly doing it and never going to get that passion. It shouldn't be a back seat for you. It should be front and center and genuine, because too many people think that sales is like this slimy thing. I did too for a long time. I was like, I don't want to be that person people hang up on. And it doesn't need to be. You make it slimy or not. So don't.
I love that. I've said it many times myself. I think that's a fantastic piece of advice. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your time with us. We are truly grateful. From here, you guys know what to do. Go follow Jade. Go DM her alignment. Go check out her stuff. Then pick up the phone and call the damn leads. If you have a crazy story, I'd love to have you on the show. I'd love to share it. Head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your information. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.